Well, of course, as well as looking close up like this, the mission's aim will be to look out to the horizon. And in this last image, this is my favourite. This contains everything that we need to know.
Yes.
But what exactly are we seeing? It's difficult to know what to make of this landscape, isn't it?
Well, we've all been poring over these since they came back, and we're pretty sure that these are probably the polygons that we see from orbit, from high horizon. So these are the contraction and expansion features we were talking about earlier. And we kind of see almost a very slight hummocky appearance as they move away towards the horizon. Some possibly larger rocks, maybe decimeters across this time, a few tens of centimeters. A couple of big ones maybe further away towards the horizon, but definitely we're seeing this very well defined polygonal fractures.
Did we expect it to be bumpy like that? They
Sure.
appear to me from orbit to be very flat features.
Well, they vary. They can change, according to how they form and where they are. We'd almost expect the polygon patterns themselves to be cracks, to be almost trenches, and we see depressions there, but they seem to be kind of filled in maybe with some fine-grained stuff, some rocks.
Well, there are no really large rocks there, that's the main thing.
No, absolutely. To me, it's strikingly different
Exactly.
to, in fact, any of the other landing sites.
Quite different to that.
Yeah.
I mean, there was always a danger of hitting a rock, but the danger was probably rather less than had been feared.
Well, yeah, Phoenix seems to be spot on in its targeting and going to a place where there aren't many boulders.
To be honest, you could have landed anywhere in that
Yeah,
image and
absolutely.
you would have been fine. Doug, what have you spotted in this image?
Well, two things. I'm looking more towards the horizon. I think we're kind of right across the horizon, kind of towards centre. There is a slight double peak, perhaps suggested of a distant crater, that sort of thing maybe. And just south of that, just below that, the right-hand edge of that feature, there is a little bit of a glint, kind of a bright streak. Now, this might be an imaging artifact, but I'm not so sure. I think we were expecting to see the back shell and the parachuting shot. I don't think that's what we're seeing here, because we see the parachute as a big kind of messy bed sat next to the back shell. I think this is probably the kind of heat shield fragments. That's my very speculative guess. Better images will follow, and I'll probably be proved completely wrong.
I think it's a cosmic ray here. I think it's...
You think we're looking north in this image, don't we?
Yeah, I do.
Northish.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a hint. We start to look for high-rise images slightly to the north, possibly an impact crater.
So we're still playing this game of trying to pinpoint Phoenix on the surface.
That's going to be the fun part of the next few days and weeks, I guess. We've got rough coordinates of where it came down, possibly a bit longer than for the nominal kind of landing position. So maybe a small impact crater on the horizon.
So the question is...
Will MRA clear that up, do you think?
Yes, eventually we'll see.
Thought so.
We'll certainly see Phoenix on the surface from Mars Reconnaissance
Oh, yes.
Orbiter. Let's have a think about this though. If you were the Phoenix mission planners, we know they're going to take, or at least the plan is to take a sample very soon, as quickly as they can get the robot arm deployed, probably in the next few days. Let's restrict ourselves to this image. Patrick, what would you sample first? I'm assuming we can reach some way into what we're seeing here.
I think typically it looks much the same. Therefore, I think you get a sample from anywhere in that particular scene, you get the same kind of result. What they're going to show us, I don't know.
That's called hedging your bets,
I know.
Patrick.
I'm hedging my bets, quite definitely.
Doug?
I think the next image is probably the best. We've got one final image, I think, slightly closer. If we scroll on.
Yeah, okay.
Because this is probably a bit
That'll
out of the
help.
reach of the arm.
Yeah.
This is the surface pretty much up close. I think we can probably see perhaps some gentle scouring
There we go.
from the descent, from the engines as they're firing during descent. I would go just right of centre. I think we're seeing a polygon almost in full here, kind of a four-sided-ish type polygon. There's a little pebble almost in the centre of the image. I would go just to the right of there. Might be a bit of hydrazine in the way to get through.
So you'd go for the centre of the polygon, not for the crack?
No, I go for the edge, the right-hand
Right.
edge. We can see a red polygon there.
I'd go for the left-hand crack, well away from the possible scouring.
That's a good point.
So which feature is it that you're calling the scouring? This linear...
Towards the bottom right of this image and moving towards the centre. It almost moves from the bottom of the image towards the middle right, top right. Almost kind of linear patterns moving towards that area.
So we're seeing, the thing that strikes me here is that we have a contrast between some light soil and some dark soil. Is that composition? Is that...
It could be composition, but also it could just be an albedo effect. So
just the reflectivity?
as the thrust of the the rockets have moved some of the sand around, you just have an albedo effect. It might necessarily be a different composition. The grain size, the size of the particles itself can also affect the way that the light's reflected back in terms of brightness.
And again, we see these small pebbles covering the surface.
Yeah, very interesting. It'd be good to know what they're made of. And we've seen a couple of maybe places where the little pebbles seem to have moved, possibly from the thrusters, the rocket, sorry. In this image, I kind of noticed that, you noticed actually, sorry, towards the top right, there's quite a deep part of the polygon crack. Seems to be almost like a 10 centimetre deep trench, and some interesting
There's a hint
rocky
of
feature in there, possibly
something bright,
lead.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It does look like a trench, most certainly.
It looks
So-
like Phoenix has already been here.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be a bad place to start, I guess, just having a bit of a poke around as well.
So we're getting these wonderful views from the surface. Doug, what's the plan for the next few days?
It's about checking out the spacecraft. You've got to check the health of the instruments, check that they're working, and then you come acclimatise to our surroundings, get some more images down, get some meteorology data as well while waiting, get the arm out, and the one thing they will do quite early on is actually use the microscope on board MECO and image the dust that may have been kicked up during descent.
Well, there's certainly plenty of that around. We saw that on the footpad, didn't we?
Yeah, immediately onto the footpad. We're not sure if that kind of bounced or whether that was kicked up by the lander itself. And probably a good job that the solar panels had to wait 15 minutes, was it, before they kind of opened up? Maybe there was a bit of dust floating around after it landed.
Yep. But the important thing we conclude is that Phoenix is in rude health. Images are already flowing from the spacecraft via Mars Odyssey onto the internet for people to play with, and it's going to be an exciting few months.
And of course, the real fun's going to come when they actually delve down in the space and see what's underneath here.
That's right.
So far, we've only seen the surface. So the most fascinating results are going to come, I think, when we go down.
That's absolutely true. So all that remains from us here at Mars Live is to remind you to tune in to the NASA press conference at 5, covered on NASA television. And otherwise, we hope you've enjoyed our coverage of Phoenix's landing on Mars. I want to say thank you to Patrick, to Doug and to Pete for guiding me through this wonderful adventure, and we hope you'll keep an eye on our blog and look out for future video and podcasts from us soon. Remember, it was just a few hours ago that Phoenix touched down on the surface, providing us with these views of the northern plains of Mars. I'm Chris Lintott, and Mars Live has been produced with the assistance of Chris North and Will Boddy. My guests were Patrick Moore, Doug Ellison and Pete Grindrod. Thank you very much.